Hello class, today we're going to be going over what is Silly Tavern and how I personally am using it to play the Great Pendragon campaign solo. Before I get into it, I just want to start off with playing with AI is never, in my opinion, going to be the same as playing with humans. I don't think you're going to have a good time if you go into Silly Tavern and other AI role-playing expecting a game, expecting a game with humans. It's not the same. The experience is different. Now, getting that out of the way, one of the people that I'm playing this game with asked me, how do I use Silly Tavern? And it's been a while since I've made one of those videos, so I decided to show it because it's a little different than last time, where I was showing a battle, I believe. I don't run battles like that anymore, it's a little faster, and I play a little bit differently with a game master character and a couple of other things. So after this intro, I'll go in through a little bit of the bits and bobs of how I've set up Silly Tavern to work for me, and I'll also then at the end go through a little bit of play so you guys can see how I do it. First, let's go give a quick overview of all of the Silly Tavern options and what I'll be basically starting to talk about. So this is when you first load up your server, and I'm running this through a folder that I have installed on my computer, and I basically just hit a button. Where is it? I hit start and it starts up my file. When it starts it up, you'll see this screen. The very first tab here is our presets, which I'll talk about, connection profiles, advanced formatting, Lorebooks, user settings, backgrounds, extensions, persona management, these are your avatars, who you play, and the characters. There's a lot to this. It has a very steep learning curve, I'll be honest. I personally am using Google right now to fund my AI projects because I had $300 in free credits. I had it for I think 90 days. I'm almost out, so I'll have to go back to my other things, which you'll see that I have DeepSeek. That's primarily what I was using because it was very cheap back in the day. So I personally jump around from LLM to LLM, and I also will sometimes use my own. I have a Macintosh which I am using to run Olama on, and I can run about 70B models all right, but honestly, from experience, these paid models, particularly Google Flash and Google Pro, which are very fast, are the best ones for RP. Now, this is a very subjective topic. You're going to hear people say that Gemini's trash, which, yeah, I mean, objectively, kind of, subjectively, it is, but it's free. People will talk honestly about Claude a lot. I don't use Claude just because Claude is so expensive that I personally would hate to love it. And what I'm talking about with these LLMs, all of these are the back end of your gameplay. Everything that we are setting up and I am showing you are the guidelines, the guide rails, and everything else has to be run by the brain, which I would consider this the brain. And so your outputs are going to differ a lot depending on who you are providing the back end. Today we're going to be using probably either credited Flash or Pro. It is pretty early in the morning here, and Gemini, Flash, particularly the free ones, have a lot of throttling during the daytime during working hours, and from my experience, because everybody's using it because it's free, right? Connection profiles, I'm not really going to go into very much. I personally didn't start touching these until I was about a year in. You can, you don't have to, but this is all the nitty gritty. I'm not going to be going into temperature, top K, top P. I downloaded somebody else's preset and then adapted it until I liked it, which I do recommend you do. You'll see I'm hovering over Spicy Marinara. That's a very popular person in Silly Tavern Reddit that provides presets. So that's something that you can delve into when you've gotten a little bit more experience. I won't be going too much into that. I never touch this. Worldbooks, Lorebooks. This is big. This is honestly, I think you're kind of bread and butter when you want to play role-playing games within Silly Tavern. Like stuff with a lot of structured rules versus just having a sex roleplay or just a basic roleplay where you jump into a chat and say, isekai me into whatever, right? So, let's pull up our lore book. I can show it to you. This is my main lore book. You'll see here that I had other ones. This was for my prior playthrough. I was playing Pendragon solo once, and then after I got a few years in, I kind of figured out how to play a little bit with Silly Tavern. I decided to start over. And then instead of having a bunch of lore books, I've adapted my system to have just one lore book. So World's lore books, to get a feeling for this is where you put in a lot of information that is basically triggered by keywords. If during the chatting somebody says this exact keyword, because that's how I have it set up. I have these exact keywords. So if I say Knight Squires or anybody says Knight Squires, this will pop up. This will get injected into the LLM and it gives more context to the LLM. Why is this important? Because when you're working with these models, particularly when you're working with ones that are local, that don't have a large context memory, they don't have the capability of remembering a lot, having stuff like this interjected makes the role play go smoother, honestly. It kind of helps the system know what the fuck it's doing. And I'll go over that by, you'll see here that I have this rules section where I have literally transcribed some of the things that happen within the rule set of Pendragon. And the reason I do this is because since I'm simulating player characters with AI and they're not fucking real people, I have to simulate their memory as well. So to do that easier when it's time to do something, like when it's time to get 1000 extra glory and explain to the characters that what you can do with it. Like the last time I did in Pendragon, you do the winter phase, you do your end of year like tallying. So, that could be out of the context window from when I did it last time, and then I'd have to explain again that if you get over 1,000 points, you get an extra prestige reward. So, versus doing that, like after I did it once or twice, I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. So now, when it's time to do prestige rewards, I'll say, how do you want to spend your extra prestige point? This gets injected, and then the AI player characters know what to do with that. And when I say know what to do, please understand that these things are not conscious. I do not believe they're conscious. This is all code, and this is all ways to interpret and make the code do what I want it to do. So I found that when I inject these rules right before that, the simulated player character makes a decision that is in line with its character, which is more believable, which is part of the immersion. And besides rule, I have other things. So here, this section, this is just for show. Like, this doesn't do anything. I put this specifically in there so I visually can tell where my separations are. But the AI or the Silly Tavern the Silly Tavern doesn't give a shit like what position these are in. These trackers I have installed for when something happens in game that I, as a game master who plays what so I played a little bit yesterday, and then before that I played in September. So yeah, so for me to keep track of stuff, it's helpful. Like, these are things that happen. So in year 482, Sir Roland earned a boon of armor through said step. Like, this is something that narratively happened, and it's like out of the game. It's just like a game master decision. Okay, you get this, basically, and that way I can just remember it. One of the AI knights decided that they are setting up a dowry for their daughter. I thought that was cool, so I just allowed it to happen, and I'm tracking it. Let's see. When my knights acquire new squires, horses, or love interests, family, I add them, and they have keywords. So it just pops up if they come up in conversation. So I don't have to explain who these people are, particularly if the context memory is gone. I also do a little synopsis of what happened throughout the year, like a very, very short one, because ultimately my game's gonna be hopefully over 100 years long, so this is going to have over 100 entries. So basically it's very, very, very basic. And I might end up, like, if it came up too much, like in 10 years, I might get rid of the white stag, for example. I might clear out keywords so it doesn't come up as much. So that's basically this right here. The lore book is the main core memory of my personal game. I've also experimented with another feature of Silly Tavern, but personally, for role playing like this with the AI with the tabletop, I don't think it worked very well. So here's another thing with Databanks. Databanks, you can basically add, oh, I didn't even know that these chat attachments were here. I can delete these. These are accidentally getting sent when I send anything new. That's because I accidentally had the extension on for web searching when I was playing this game, and I searched a couple times. You'll see here I have global attachments, and when I want to enable them or not, I do this. I haven't been using this as much as I used to at the beginning because I don't think it works very well. This is using a RAG type of thing, which I'm not going to get into. Basically, it's using a retrieval augmented, I can't remember, retrieval augmented generation, where they split all this data into chunks, but it's not by keyword, it's just by these chunks. It makes it more easier to search, but ultimately I decided not to use this very much. And when I need to introduce characters or have the AI generate things, me, the human, provide the information. I just found that works better. But this exists if you're using Silly Tavern, and basically, if you like, now I have enabled it. It's not. I see. It's enabled. Now if I go into the chat and mention some of the Game Master characters that are in this PDF that I supplied, the AI will pull that information and add it to its context window before it replies. Supposedly. It doesn't work perfectly, so I have personally stopped using it. I have found this I found this to be much better, and also ultimately because the larger LLMs like Google have been trained on a lot of this data. Like, not necessarily specifically 60 Pendragon, but it knows who the fuck Lancelot is. It knows who Roderick is, and I just have to keep track of other people. Now, here you're going to see that we're in the user settings. I'm not going to go too much into this, but there's a lot of cool things that you can do. I'm not going to be talking about the visual novel mode a lot today. I can even get rid of that. Get rid of it. The visual novel, because I personally haven't set it up perfectly yet, but there is a visual novel mode. You can have pictures, and the pictures can have like your characters. Basically, there's an extension where if you have character expressions, you can enable them, and then it parses out the emotions during the scene. I've been having a little bit of trouble with it. I just haven't generated enough of the pictures, and it's not working perfectly. Like, it was showing the emotion for desire a lot, and I'm just like, why? It's like my characters are all blushing at me while we're fucking killing people. It's like, no. So I personally am not using visual novel mode right now. The reason why that GM thing was sticking there is because I personally actually have an extension that I made that, where is it? The Avatar Zoom tracker tweet, and that's specifically just to bring up this, and I'll explain that later. So we're not going to go, once again, too much into this. There's a lot of cool things that you can touch in here, though. Backgrounds, I don't really fuck around too much with backgrounds. I personally have generated 2. Once again, I mentioned that I mentioned that I have a Macintosh. I have generated these images with my Macintosh. I provided them as backgrounds, and I flip between them sometimes for the immersion. There's a lot you can do with this. You can generate more. I'm pretty sure you can set up like triggers to change the backgrounds more visual novel-like, but it's something that I personally haven't gone into more. Extensions. I love extensions. So, web search, I do use that, but not when I'm role-playing, so I have it disabled right now. Character expressions I'm not using right now, but I am experimenting with. Image generation, I probably won't be using it too much. Sometimes when I feel like it, like after a scene, I'll ask for a character generation to get like something like that. But it's not really good AI. Like, you can see it's like really crappy generation. It doesn't look good. So I really just don't mess with it very much. It's not my priority to mess with the visuals. This I do use. I've been using XTTS. I used to use Kokoro, but I've switched to XTTS, and you'll see that I have the voice from Skyrim. That was me. Sorry, I don't know. Jenny, don't come get me. I was experimenting with your voice to see if I could do it properly. It didn't come out very good. And then I just basically I took all of the voices from Skyrim, which I'm already fucking with, and I just added them to my game so I can use them. I do recommend the Guided Generations add-on, and I'll go through that here in a second. The Guided Generations is here at the bottom. Quick replies I have enabled. This used to be the old guided generations. I have enabled mine to switch me between the GM and the Alaric character image captioning I use, but not during this. And this is new. I've been thinking about using this not necessarily within my Pendragon campaign, but this is a new thing that I would like to try that I haven't yet, but I have it disabled. I'm not going to use it for Pendragon. I'm going to use it for other games. So basically, there's a lot of extensions. I have some installed. I made one myself. There's so many to look at. Basically, I find them on the Silly Tavern Reddit. When I need an extension, I search for my problem. Personas. All right, this is your avatar. This is who you as the player play as. You'll see that I have my original Alaric character, my game master. This is just me. No makeup. Looks a bit tired. I use that sometimes. This was another one. And this is just basically me trying out different games. I've deleted a bunch, but these are the ones that I've kept so far. I'll be using Jessica Alaric today, and this has come from a lot of trial and error. I feel like it works best when I put the majority of the player sheet within the character card. You'll see it's here. I update this at the end of winter phase, and during play I use a normal character sheet. This is my normal character sheet, but I keep the stats in here and I do update them. Now, this is completely subjective. You can put whatever the fuck you want in here. You'll see that this one is an invisible omnipresent observer. This one has a little bit more. This one I gave her some stats because I was playing another game. This one has all of the Pendragon stats in it. I also put a couple of persona notes down here at the bottom. And this gets sent with my character. Now, the reason why I decided to put all of my character's data there is because of the guided generations. Guided generations, sometimes you can ask the AI to pretend to be you. So by giving it that information about me as a character, I can better have it when I say, I don't want to write all this out, Alaric jumps up and yells, like, narrate that as me. It has an idea of how to do that. So that's the avatars. Last but not least, before we show a little bit about the gameplay, the characters, the groups. This is what I got. I have more sometimes. I'll be frank with you guys, before I started recording this video, I went in and I deleted a lot of like crazy looking things because I've been experimenting. But this is my main group right now. This is what I'm playing with, and this is what it looks like. So when you go to characters, this is what it looks like when you're talking to just one person. You can see that I was testing in March. Bro, I was using Olama. I was using not a great LLM. So that's the last thing I said to that guy. Here, you'll see that there's a lot more, and I'm about to go into that here. But first up, with the characters also all have their own character sheets within them. This is a lot of trial and error that I did. Do I have my old characters or not? I'm not sure. I do have my old characters. Okay. This is an old character. The very first time I was playing Pendragon solo, I had this guy, and this is what his character sheet looked like. You'll see he has basically nothing here. This was a joke, and then, long story short, when I was testing Silly Tavern out, I started this as a joke, and I asked this character before it was named if it wants to play Pendragon with me, and it said sure. And then it gave me a little backstory about how it wants to play. I ended up not sticking with this, but I learned a lot from this. So here is another character. Don't pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to that. That's because of my extension. It's popping up. This is one of my current characters, Maya. I have found through experimenting that telling the bot that they're a player playing a character has come up with better interactions with the way that I want to play than when I was saying you are a character in Pendragon. So now that Maya is a librarian. That's who she is, and she is playing Sir Roland. And basically, I did that because I wanted a quieter character to balance me out, along with a chaotic character. Here is Jenny, and she is more chaotic. She works part-time at a small-time hair salon. Da-di-da. All of these things I came up with AI. I said, give me like 10 character archetypes, and then I picked my favorites. So I didn't do basically almost any of this. I probably changed a couple of things, but ultimately I started off with a very basic profile of like flavor of this person. I wanted Maya is the like steadfast character, and Jenny is the wild card. And they have their character sheets inside of their character profiles. There's a lot of things to do. You see the basic description. I don't have first messages, personality summaries, the scenarios where I put the character sheets, quick character note. Oh yeah, this is important. Responses should be short and conversational, avoiding exposition dumping or excessive narration. 2 paragraphs, 2 or 3 sentences each. I put that on each of the characters because before I did that, they were yapping. I want the narrator to do a long description. I do not want the characters to do long descriptions. So that's part of the process of playing and learning how to use this. And then you put a couple of examples of dialogue. This is important. I shouldn't have these in here, but that's a story for another day. The examples of dialogue do affect things. I'm not going to mess with them right now. Alright, real quick. I'm going to scroll up. I'm not going to make you guys read all this. But you'll see that I have a lot of talking back and forth between the game master and the narrator. And the reason is because I'm playing by myself. I am making decisions for the characters versus asking them every single time. Like, here, I think I asked for some rolls. Yes, I asked for an intrigue roll, right? So versus pretending and having the AI roll it, I just roll for everybody and I integrate the results, which I think only Alaric passes his roll, noticing that he presents from Salisbury. The presents from Salisbury compare favorably to those brought by Sir Blaine's earlier from overhearing courtiers nearby. So this is something that I decided. Sometimes I'll let the AI decide like how things come out. But last night when I was letting the AI decide, it kept coming up with scenarios like some bullshit that didn't make sense because once again, these are prediction machines. They're not real people. So I changed my prompt. I deleted what it gave me. I changed my prompt and I was going to try again. And I was like, oh yeah, I should make a video. So I said what happened, and then I want the next narration. I decided to stop here and show it because we are going to prompt players for roles and recognize intrigue, and also if they want to do anything in particular. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the narration pop up, and this is how I do it. You can have the characters auto reply. I don't do that. I do everything manually. Once again, I am not necessarily trying to replace or simulate necessarily a real D&D game. I'm playing a solo game in a different way by being the game master and using AI to assist me so things are easier and they're a little bit more spontaneous. Like I've done this intro to the Great Pendragon campaign. I've done the years, I think, up to 42 twice now. And they both went completely differently based on the dice rolls and also the player decisions. And this might not work right now. I just tried to use Flash, and even the credited/paid Flash. Yeah, okay. Error. So I'm getting an error right now because of the hours. The Gemini, since it's free, and because I have the project hours, I get throttled during the daytime. I literally can only play sometimes if I choose a different model, or if I guess, yeah, that's basically it. So I tried credited Flash, got an error. We'll try Pro. Yeah, so you'll see here, Google AI Studio API returned the error, 503 service unavailable, the model is overloaded. So, we're going to try one more thing. We're going to go here again, credited Pro. You see how the Gemini model is Gemini 2.5 Pro? There are options. I'm going to use a preview instead. Straight up, no. Overloaded. So, what about credited Flash? Can we do any of those? Long story short, I just went through all of the options. All of the Pro options are completely tanked, but I did manage to get a response on a Flash. So that is just the way that this shit is going with Flash because it's free. And also, let me take this moment to say to you guys, if the product is free, you are the product. Personally, I don't care. It's like they can have my playing with knights. In these next pieces, I'm going to be showing how I use TTS. So please feel free to use the chapters and skip ahead. So I got the model to load in, and now I'm going to try to get the narrator to work. Click it. Flash, the nice thing about Flash is it's super fast when it's working, when it actually does connect. So that was actually pretty quick. You'll see that it took 7.4 seconds. It was 24 yesterday using Pro. So that is a nice thing about Flash, is that it goes fast. The problem is that Flash is also kind of shitty. So we're going to have to double check and see if it did too much craziness. To save myself the trouble, what I usually do is I just read a couple of the first things, and then I read a couple of the last things. And I try not to read the riddle, because I do want to still kind of be a player, and I do that by generating the audio. So first, right here at the bottom, I don't like that it says make your recognize and intro rules to blah blah blah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to go make recognize and intrigue rules. Also, what would you like to do? After I edit it, I am now going to narrate it and enjoy.
The hall of Lonazep buzzes with the intricate dance of courtly diplomacy. But for you, Sir Alaric, the silence of King Uther's reaction speaks volumes. You observe the exchange between the Earl and the King, but your ears are tuned to the periphery. You catch the low, rapid whispers of nearby courtiersmen who have already catalogued every gift offered to the throne. Your mind, sharp and keen, pieces together the fragments. The quality of Salisbury's silver and cloth far surpasses the offerings brought earlier by Sir Blaines, the knight who so aggressively presses his suit for Lady Ellen. The comparison is favorable to your Earl, a tangible sign of the seriousness and stature of Count Roderick's ambition.
Hell yeah!
Uther's silence is not discontent. It is the cold appreciation of a man receiving a superior bid. The following day, the true business of the Easter Court begins. The knights of Salisbury, their wounds tended and their armor polished, take their places among the gathered nobles. King Uther, seated upon his throne, commands the attention of the entire hall. He opens the proceedings with a decree that sends a collective shockwave through the assembled barons. He addresses the matter of the vacant dukedom of the Saxon shore, whose late holder fell at Salisbury, leaving only a 1-year-old heir. The need for order on the Saxon shore is immediate, Uther declares, his voice ringing with absolute authority. The defense of Britain brooks no delay. He commands that the infant, Lucius, now barely 4 years old, be presented. And then, in a moment of unprecedented audacity, Uther pronounces the child Knight, Duke of the Saxon shore. The hall is stunned. A boy, still years from wielding a practice sword, cannot be a knight. A man who is not a knight cannot be a duke. It is a blatant, audacious violation of the most fundamental laws of chivalry and inheritance. The murmurs that ripple through the nobility are a mixture of shock, outrage, and grudging awe at the king's sheer defiance of tradition. Uther has shattered the laws of the realm in a single pronouncement. The crown then announces the final critical detail. Baroness Pomponia is named the child's ward, and thus given full authority to issue orders in Duke Lucius's name to direct the defense of the dukedom. The message is clear. The king will remake the laws of Britain to suit his needs. Amidst this turmoil, your attention is drawn to another figure in the court, Prince Madoc, Uther's illegitimate son, who is notably present near the dais. A young lady dressed in silks that shimmer with every movement is flirting with him openly and with a conspicuous lack of subtlety. The court is a cauldron of unprecedented political turmoil and personal ambition. How do you respond to this shocking display of royal power and the visible presence of the king's controversial heir? Do you seek to understand the new order, or do you focus on the potential political fallout? Make, recognize, intrigue, roles. Also, what would you like to do?
Okay, so that actually did a couple of things, which I'm glad it did. So that's kind of why I like these LLMs particularly. I hate Google, but damn did they make a good LLM. It's so fast. It's so fast, and it did a good job. And it did a good job because of all the guardrails that I've introduced with Silly Tavern. I'm specifically saying it did a good job because I said King Uther, this is what I put. I put King Uther announces that the 4-year-old Lucius will be the ward. Astonishingly, the boy is knighted and made a duke. This is unheard of. Only a knight. Now, that is all I said indicate the reaction to this from the crowd, but it did the right thing. Like I think it did pretty good. It was like it's a blatant, audacious violation of the most fundamental laws of chivalry and inheritance. I didn't say why it's audacious, but it correctly got that because it's been trained on this shit. It's in its database, so the probability and all that crap was able to pull it out. So basically, I'm happy with this. Besides that small little change that I did, sometimes when I'm listening to these generations, particularly if I don't read them, it will make up shit. It will make up shit, depending. Sometimes if it makes up shit, I'll go with it, depending if I like it or not. And sometimes I'll just cut it out. And that is just the biggest thing that I have to say to people. It's not perfect. It's not like having a real GM because you are gonna know everything that happens or doesn't happen. There's just no way around it. Personally, I don't think there's a way around it. Maybe in the future, when this gets better and the AI is actually smarter or better prediction models, you can kind of like have a bucket of like secrets that it has behind a back panel that maybe you could look at if you really wanted to. But for now, this works out all right. I got a couple of surprises. And here's how I'm going to play this next part. What I would do is I would look at my character sheets. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of cool things there. I do not remember where I got this. I got it somewhere online. Somebody made it. Thank you, person who made it, if you recognize it. Now, what I did is I made 3 different character sheets, and then I asked, I think it was Claude. It was a couple of months ago. It was either Claude or ChatGPT. I can't remember which one it was. I asked it for help to make this master sheet template. Do not ask me how to make this. I don't remember how to make this anymore, but it's made. It's made. And it automatically updates from my character sheets. So while I play, I update these, and then when I need to look and do roles for everybody, I go to this one, and then I just scroll to whatever I'm fucking looking for. So right here, we're on intrigue. So I'll just like, okay, well, I know that. Probably Alaric's going to win, and these other 2 are just oblivious. Kind of like helps me out there. So I'm doing recognize and intrigue roles. Hey, oh my gosh, everybody got it. Everybody got it. That never happens. Literally never happens. Oh, everybody's already got checked intrigue on. Okay. So everybody's intrigue is good, and we're doing recognize rolls, which is 11, 12, and 5. Okay, so we had basically all successes except for 1 fail. So I know that. They did not make a critical success, so what I'm gonna do is open that back up and go to Silly Tavern and all 3 nights. Okay, so that's how I decided to run it. Instead of, I just repeated what would you like to do. I'm going to give them the information because otherwise I think it would confuse the AIs to try to ask them what they would do while we're rolling. So it's just, I'm giving them the information up front, and now what do you want to do? Now, moving on. Sometimes I'll respond next as the player Alaric if I want to guide the bots in how to respond. Sometimes I'll click on Jenny because I put her as a wildcard character and I'll just see what kind of fucking weird shit she does. And sometimes if I want to play it straight, I'll have Maya do it. Sometimes if I don't want any of those options, I'll do this, which is a guided impersonate, which was once again that thing I mentioned, the extension that I mentioned. Where the fuck is it? God damn it. This one, Guided Generations. I very, very much recommend this. Check it out. Amazing. Fabulous. We're going to show you why. So, gosh, man, I don't want either of those guys to respond first. I want Alec to do it, but I am a brain dead person, so Rick wants to focus on the couple and see what they do. And now, this will give me a typed in response, and as I mentioned, that having all that information in my profile helps. So this is what I would say. I'm going to pretend. So this is absolutely wild. Uther just made a 4-year-old duke. This is okay. Actually, let me also show you that I trained my own voice. This is my voice.
This is absolutely wild. Uther just made a 4-year-old a duke. This is a complete disregard for all tradition. He's doing whatever he wants. It's clear that he's cementing his own power base and doesn't care who he offends in the process. I want to keep a close eye on Prince Madoc and Lady Rhiannon. Madoc is the key to Uther's legacy, and Rhiannon is notorious for stirring up trouble. There could be an important angle there that speaks to the stability of the court.
So, this is something I could do. I'm not actually going to do that. I wanted to show you. I've decided, instead, without prompting the bots yet, I want to see what Jenny wants to do, just because she's funny. I think this one's a funny one. So I'm asking Jenny to respond. There she is. You can also set this to automatically do it, but I was having so much issues with like some of the output that I'm doing manual clicks for the audio right now. But you can do it automatically. You don't have to be extra like me.
Elad lets out a low whistle, shaking his head at Uther's audacity in knighting the 4-year-old.
By the cross, the king has fire in his belly. He just told every lord in this hall that their precious rules don't mean a damn thing if they stand in his way. That's a king who knows how to get things done, even if it's messy. Alaric, we need to move. If Uther is this bold, the contest for Lady Ellen is going to be fierce. I say we go watch this Lady Rhiannon flirt with the prince. It's always good to see what the king's son favors in a woman, eh?
Okay, so she actually had the same idea as me. I would just go with this at this point. And then I'm going to go ahead and have Maya respond. I always vary this. Sometimes I respond afterwards, sometimes they do. It just depends on how I feel. There's no way to, I truly randomize this because they're not real, so...
Roland shakes his head slowly, his expression grim as he processes the king's action. He murmurs to his companions, his voice low and serious.
This is not strength, Elad. This is a dangerous precedent. The king breaks the law of knighthood for convenience, and that shames us all. A duke who cannot even sit his horse is no defense for the Saxon shore. I agree with Alaric. We should observe, but carefully. If the king is this willing to shatter tradition, we must be watchful of how he intends to use the power gained from this Lady Ellen's dowry.
She did have an error here. She agreed with Elad, not Alaric. So there's errors like that even in small messages like this, but ultimately it doesn't bother me. I do think it does bother other people, but this is you can edit anything in this. You can put whatever the fuck you want. You can do whatever you want, which is one of the biggest things why I like this. So at this point, Alaric agrees.
It's a disgrace, Roland, but you're right. It shows the king's true priorities. He's not interested in honor. He's interested in control. The fact that he knights an infant means he'll do anything to solidify his power. And that makes the Lady Ellen contest far more dangerous than we thought. Madoc's presence, and that woman's open display, is the softer side of the king's ambition. We should observe them. Elad and I both recognize Lady Rhianneth's trouble wrapped in silk. If she's courting the prince so openly, it's a sign of where the king's favor truly lies. Let's keep a discreet distance, but watch closely. We need to know what kind of company the king's heir keeps.
Okay, that's fine with me. Now, at this point, I would decide what's going to happen next. The last time I played this, I played it as a feast, and I had them get up within the rounds, but I'm not playing a feast at this moment, so I'm just going to jump in. I'll see. Right here, awareness. Knights notice this. Automatic success of the player. Knights are keeping an eye on the pair, which they are, so I don't even have to roll for this. Now that I've read this, and there's no real way around this, and that's one of the reasons I've once again mentioned that playing like this is nothing like playing like this. Playing like this is nothing like playing like this. This is funner. That's why I'm paying for it. I am paying $27 to play Pendragon with people. It's also a much different experience when people are interested, in my opinion. When like people are paying and to show up, it makes it, I guess, slightly better. It feels like everybody's really there. Anyways, so yeah, now I'm deciding that for the next scene, this is what I'm going to do. I'm back to Game Master. Click on my little Game Master. Go here. I'm just going to copy this to make my life slightly easier. And now I'm going to ask for a reaction. After a while, the prince excuses himself and departs the feast. A short time later, the lady chooses to retire as well. That's what I've chosen to do. So I'll go ahead and throw in the narrator response. One thing I found a lot, I really quickly read that. I think I'll probably leave that time in so you can see like how I'm playing. I basically read this. Saw that here at the end, all of the LLMs, particularly Google, love to do this where they add extra shit to the end. I don't need any of this shit. Get rid of it. All right. Bam. This was me skimming it super fast. I'm a super fast reader. I think this is good. Now I'll play it. And that's why I wait to play, because I want to edit.
The court of Lonazep, having absorbed the shock of the infant duke, continues its strange, uneasy celebration. The knights of Salisbury maintain their positions, their eyes moving between the rigid formality of King Uther and the dangerous flirtation unfolding near Prince Maddox. You, Sir Alaric, watch Lady Rhiannon with the cold assessment of a man who recognizes a poisoned flower. She is notorious, a scandal wrapped in costly silks, and her open pursuit of the king's controversial heir is a clear signal of her ambition and the lack of moral constraint at this new court. You mark the easy familiarity between her and Prince Maddox, the subtle, provocative gestures that speak volumes in the silent language of the hall. For a time, the display continues, a distraction of beauty and scandal in the middle of a political maelstrom. Then, Prince Maddox, with a final dismissive wave of his hand to the lady, rises. He offers a brief, perfunctory bow to the royal dais and departs the feast, disappearing into the inner halls of Lonazep with the gait of a man who has a more pressing engagement. Lady Rhiannon watches him go, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then, with a practiced sigh of feigned weariness, she too excuses herself. She offers a graceful curtsy to the king and retires from the hall, her silk gown whispering against the stone floor as she follows the path taken by the prince, disappearing into the shadows of the royal residence.
Bam. So, for stuff that isn't battle, this kind of it almost turns into a really complicated choose your own adventure, I would call it. I find this fun. This is intriguing. The last time I played this, Maddox was completely uninterested in the woman. Like, she was just throwing herself at him, and he was just like, So this one, this is just the AI's interpretation. This one, Maddox kind of reciprocating, kind of like being a little bit of a douche, which I also like this angle for it. So that's part of the bonus of playing with AI like this, is that it completely, I mean, that's part of playing with people as well, as like it just randomizes the content and how differently it can go every time. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through one more round of reactions with the AI, and then I'm going to wrap up the video, and that'll be probably it. So this time I'll start with Maya. I'll let her say what she wants to say. Sometimes if I get like really crappy responses, I will then prompt it better and say, Maya says what she wants to say. Also notice that the gameplay for these guys is a lot shorter than the narrator. When I first started doing this, maybe I'll scroll up and show you guys later, all of the responses used to be long, and that was just like, I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, how can I make this better? And I came up with the short responses of like players, and then the narration with the like, so it's kind of like people collaborating with an interactive fiction, which is kind of cool.
Roland watches the departure of the Lady Rhiannon and murmurs to his companions, his voice low and devoid of judgment. That woman's actions are a direct challenge to the decorum of the king's court. We should note the swiftness of her departure and the prince's acceptance of her attentions. The king may disregard the laws of chivalry, but the consequences of this open dishonor will be felt by all of us.
She got British there, didn't she? I did hear people complaining that XTTS makes people randomly British. I think that just happened to me. Also, you'll notice that since the top of this message was not like an asterisk or anything else, it didn't use the narrator voice to describe it. This is all like, I'm sure people find that annoying. I have just started messing with this, so I haven't set it up perfectly. I do think I'm probably going to disable the narrator in within the text like this, because as I mentioned, with how some LLMs are trained, depending on what's in your character card, a lot of the what is it called? The asterisks is a lot of the punctuation stuff fucks up the formatting. It's hard to get around it. So actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. It is kind of annoying, so I'll just go ahead and turn off. So let's see what Jenny said.
She followed him, didn't she? That wasn't a coincidence, Alaric. That was a clear signal to the whole court. The king's son is keeping company with a married woman right here under his father's nose. This court isn't just about control, Roland. It's about breaking all the rules. It's an absolute mess.
So there's no way for me to get around this. Right now, what I'm typing into the box, which I just realized you guys can't see, is Alaric muses if they should follow. Because I know that's what we should do. I was hoping one of these guys would kind of suss that out, but they didn't. And that's one of the things that's not great about solo role-playing. Because I know what's going to happen next because I had to read a little bit ahead. So I know that this is what we're supposed to do. So it ultimately becomes my decision if I want to do that or not versus anyone else's. And that's fine. So what I am going to do, what I'm going to try to do, is I did Alaric muses if they should follow. Alaric muses if they should follow. I'm going to put this out here.
It's certainly a mess, Elad, but a profitable one for those who know how to navigate the sewage. Maddox's willingness to openly flout the rules of marriage right here at his father's court shows a profound lack of respect for law and tradition. And Rhiannith? She's making a very public statement about where she believes the power lies. I don't like it. This kind of open disrespect erodes the foundations of the realm. But Roland's right. The consequences will be felt by all of us. The question is, should we follow them? It's risky, but knowing what the king's heir does in the shadows could be invaluable to Roderick. Should we risk further disgrace to gain knowledge?
See, I think this is an indication of how sometimes by having all that information in the AI, it plays better than I do, because honestly, I think this does make more sense for Alaric's character to be like, should we risk disgrace? Because he's very prudent. So, should we risk this? Like, is that worth it? If I hit Jenny, Jenny's gonna say hell yes, I believe, and then Maya's gonna be like, also like, I'm gonna see what Maya says first. That's what I want. And this is kind of like the fun with the simulating characters for me, is we do simulate the back and forth a little bit, and sometimes I change my mind, which then is sort of like the dice rolls, and it changes the transgression? No, the progression. It changes the travel. It changes the trajectory. It changes the trajectory of where your game goes. Like, this is why it can be so different every single time, and why I really value simulating and playing solo with AI. Yeah.
We have seen enough dishonor for one day. We are here to serve the Earl, not to spy on the king's son in his private time. Such actions are beneath the dignity of Salisbury knights. To follow them would be to invite trouble where there is no direct threat to our lord. We should remain at the feast, observe the other lords, and show that Salisbury maintains its restraint and honor.
Honestly, I could have written that for her at this point. I know her character. The librarian's playing the straight man, which is fine. Let's see what the crazy one says. And you can put whatever archetypes you want in these characters. Like, I did whatever because I'm trying things out. I'm constantly tweaking this stuff as well.
Roland, you're missing the target. This isn't spying. It's recognizing a soft spot in the king's line. If Maddox is compromised, that's leverage for the Earl. It's a huge risk, but the truth is never found sitting politely at the table.
She's right. Oh, you're just not going to generate the rest of that? Alright, I say we go. I'll take the shame if we're caught, but the knowledge we gain could be worth more than 1,000 manners. Okay. Alaric hasn't decided yet. Alaric is super prudent, and I hadn't considered that this might come up against his prudence. Let me double check that. So this is now using the actual gameplay. I'm chaste, I'm energetic, I'm forgiving, I'm generous. I'm deceitful. I think that might change me a little bit. All right, merciful, modest, but I'm very prudent. It would be more reckless to just go. I'm going to roll against my prudence. Okay. Prudence 1. Okay, yeah. Alaric's gonna stay. And Jenny's gonna be the only one that does the cool stuff, which is fine, I guess. And that's where I'm gonna wrap it up. I will play through the next part of the whatever the thing I'm playing here, and I will see what happens in my game. That is also a benefit I really like about playing this way. Here, I'll show. I'll just scroll back up to a while ago. Is the since I'm playing solo, I can take as long as I need. So let's see. Like, see this, I got a response at 9:28 p.m. and then I responded 12 minutes later. Sometimes there's bigger gaps in time because like I'm doing stuff, like sometimes I'll be working. So yeah, that was the next day, 8 a.m. See, look, I did a turn at 8 a.m., at 9:25 a.m., and then at 10:19 a.m. That's really what I really like about this is it's great for my ADHD brain. I can play a little bit when I'm playing like this and I'm generating audio. I can draw, I can clean something, I can do a lot of other things. I really value playing like this. I do not think it replaces playing with people, but it is fun. And that is just a little bit of how I play. There's so much more to this. There's so much that it would just take too many videos for me to go over. So another solo I was trying to play where I was playing this character and I had just the AI playing Omen and the narrator. And then one thing that I mentioned briefly, which I'll show again, I would like to try using it more. And so this was a thing that I've been experimenting with. It's made by Spicy Marinara on the subreddit for Silly Tavern. So there's a lot of cool things to explore. I haven't really gone more into it. Now you'll notice that it has an arousal score. The people who use Silly Tavern the most use it for erotic roleplay. I personally haven't really explored that a lot, so I can't comment on it, but it is, I would say, the primary use for Silly Tavern. Go to the subreddit if you're interested. Check out some things. It has a very steep learning curve. I am not going to pretend that this is easy. Um, I've gotten to this point over a long period of time. I think it really is super fun. I when I play role playing games nowadays, it's within Silly Tavern, or it's Skyrim VR with AI, or it's real games. There's nothing else that I'm really doing right now. I used to do a lot more of like journaling role playing games, and I just don't right now. I might get back to that at some point, but the this makes it so easy to pick up and play, particularly after you have set it up a little bit, that I just have been fucking with this more than anything else. But once again, this does not replace real gaming. The only other thing is when I'm generating locally with my own machine, which I guess I can show that real quick. Let's pick Llama 3. Oh, actually here. This I was using OpenWebUI. This is like a local ChatGPT, and this takes a little bit. Does it have the timing? I was using it to help me generate some prompts. Sometimes when I have a lot more information and I don't want to write a narrative description, I'll ask my AIs to help me. And what I was going to get at, I thought it would show me the generation time, but it doesn't. But anyways, it helps. It just takes a long time. It doesn't use a glass of water. I've generated videos using my Macintosh. I made this. This is a video I made. It doesn't get super hot. And I've generated these characters. I was generating some of my characters from the games, from my Pendragon games. Where are we? So lots you can do with AI locally and not locally. I wish we could do locally what the big companies do, but I don't think that's possible. I do think it's important that you understand where your money is going and how those data centers are affecting people. I personally won't touch Grok. I won't give money to Gemini, but I will use their free product, so a bit of a hypocrite there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Hopefully that was helpful for someone. I know it's going to be very long. Now I gotta edit it, cut out all these little gaps. Thank you. Have a good one.